I already knew at 5 or 6 years old that I was different. I didn't know exactly how I was different. I was just different. You know, you have the feeling like you're just different, you don't fit in. And by the time I was, 7, 8 years old, I knew that I'd rather be a girl. Well, I started, dressing like a girl at an early age. By the time I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I knew that I, would rather be a girl. So in private, every chance I would get, I would dress like a girl. It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel odd. It was just me. It made me happy.
When Randy was a little boy, maybe about 12, 13, somewhere in there, I found some shoes, ladies' shoes, and didn't really know what to make of it at the time. So I asked him, and he just said it was nothing.
You don't want to tell anybody because you don't want to be weird. You don't want to be different. So you lock it away and you bottle it up and yeah, you don't ever be yourself. It's like mentally you're a girl, physically you're a boy. Like, how does that work? And many times I just wish that I would wake up either just a boy or wake up as a girl. Just pick one. That's basically what it was. Just make it go away, because this being stuck in the middle is terrible. I couldn't be the boy that everybody wanted because I felt female. I couldn't be the girl that I wanted because I was male. I was scrambled.
My brother and I were very involved in sports. We loved to be outside and played lots of tennis and skateboarded just like any normal kid would. We went to the same high school together, only 15 months apart in age, so we were very close all through high school. We would hang out at high school with all of our buddies, and we'd see a good-looking girl walk down the hallway, and all of us guys would be like, oh, what we'd do to go out with her. And my brother or sister would always look at that girl and go, what'd I do to look like her?
All my life, like as far as when I was really young or growing up and stuff like that, I always like to take things apart. I like to try to figure out anything mechanical, how it worked, how would, you could take it apart and put it back together, or I would just try and try and try, until I got it back together. And I started getting interested in cars, probably 13, 14 years old. My grandparents had given me a car when I was 14 years old because they had retired and they weren't driving anymore, so they gave me their car. So I had my own car, and so, I would tinker with it and do this on it and that on it.
He started working at Speers when I believe he was 13 or 14 years old.
And I worked in shops in town, like basically garages and stuff like that.
So not even out of high school, he was doing full mechanical duties there, but getting paid as a tire changer.
I'm a licensed mechanic by trade, so I've worked in the automotive field for years and years.
My dad was a mechanic too, and he kind of followed somewhat in his footsteps. But my brother, like my dad, they could just fix anything.
Well, in high school and stuff like that, I never dated. Not that I didn't have the opportunity. I had the opportunity. But by then, I already knew that I wanted to be a girl. And it's like, well, how about if it works out? Then what? So I was always analyzing everything instead of just letting things happen. Well, if I get a girlfriend and she finds out that I'm transgender, and then she tells all our other friends and it gets around town, what is that going to mean? So I didn't date. And, not that I wasn't attracted to girls, I was. I was totally attracted to the girls, but I just didn't want them to find out my secret. Well, I was terrified to transition in Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat's a smaller community, and I grew up here all my life. I've lived here all my life. And Medicine Hat's it's you know, oil and gas, farming, rodeo type city. You know, there isn't really what I would say lots of culture in the city. It's very what I would consider redneck. You know, and this is kind of on the edge of being. It's different. It's not your norm. You know, being gay, being lesbian, being transgender, that's all different. And I was terrified. I got to such a low point in my life that my mind was just totally in a blender. Nothing made sense. I couldn't figure it out. And that's still not like me. That's what makes me good about my job, is I can figure things out. Take the problem, figure out a solution. Execute the solution, fix it. I could never get away from everybody knowing that that used to be a boy. See that girl over there? Do you know who that is? That used to be a boy. Because everybody would know me. There would be no hiding, be no going stealth. You know, I just couldn't all of a sudden start a new life in Medicine Hat, where if I was in like Toronto or something like that, that's millions of people. Well, you know what, if you don't associate with your little group in there, associate with another group, nobody knows who you are. Just about 2 years ago, my hair was so short that it was like a brush cut. You couldn't even grab it on the sides. That's how short it was. It was like extremely, extremely short. I had grown it, basically, it's too bad because I had grown it down shoulder length. And I don't know, I was having a hard time. I was in the process of transitioning, and, you know, I was really confused and everything, and just really kind of angry, and went through a real hard time, and I even tried to commit suicide.
It was, he had taken a large amount of alcohol and some pills.
I just was going through a real bad period, so I cut my hair. I cut it all off. And I wish I wouldn't have, because it'd be the length that I want by now. But
so I went to see him right away, and like I only stayed a few minutes just to see that he was okay, because at that point he was not able to be up, even keep his eyes open, anything like that. So that just about ripped my heart right out to see that.
But we all kind of get there. You're just tired. You're tired of fighting. You're tired of everything. Tired of everything, and you just can't be yourself, and it's like you want the pain to go away. You just want everything to go away. And that's where I was. I didn't want to hurt anymore.
It just, as a mother, it just rips me apart.
See, originally I used to work for the company down here, and then I went on my own. 2 years, it was April 1st, 2 years ago is when I went on my own, and haven't looked back since. It's been really good.
Randy's skill level in mechanics showed up at a very young age. Randy will take on any mechanical, electrical, welding. It doesn't matter. He's not scared, or she's not scared to take on any job there is.
Weld, build, you know, frame stuff, wire stuff, plumbing, drywall, it didn't matter. anything he did with his hands, he did well.
Definitely the best fabricator and able to figure out stuff better than any human being I've ever met. Very, very ingenious mind when it comes to figuring out how to build something, build it, and make it look excellent and function perfectly.
And the variety is what makes it interesting. I couldn't imagine being in a shop and doing the same routine over and over again all day, or only working on one sort of thing. So a lot of people don't want to do that variety. They would rather just stick to one certain thing, but I'll do pretty much anything mechanical. Anything from fixing a donut machine to working on a big excavator to whatever. I normally enjoy it, except when I get oil in my hair and then I have a little fit. Yeah, you can do anything, just don't get oil in my hair. The drag race club in town had a flyer at the high school saying if there's anybody interested in racing that they could come to an information night.
Randy originally got into drag racing because he thought maybe that would solve things. And of course it didn't, but he still enjoyed drag racing.
Well, the Medicine Hat Drag Racing Association is a club that's been around for many, many years, and they basically own the racetrack in Medicine Hat. I've raced in the Medicine Hat every year since 1988. In high school, I had friends, and we all had a car or either a truck, like in my little group of friends, and they were having a race. I think it was about a couple weeks later, and they were having a class for high school kids. So the intimidation wasn't there. I totally got hooked on the competition. It's been like another family to me.
Randy come out there as a high school young fella racing his old four-door 66 Fury, I believe, or a 65. Kind of really shy, quiet person.
Well, Bob was kind of like our idol. It's like, because his car was faster and he had a real nice car and everything like that. It was like, oh, wish our car went as fast as Bob's car. And, so I just started talking with Bob and started to become really close friends. Over the years, our friendship got even stronger. We ended up starting to race, go out of town together. That's kind of what joined us together, is the racing. We totally had the same passion for the sport. And so we just became best friends. Started working in the shop like when I first moved it out here. And my plan was always, I wanted to build this and build that in the shop. And you get busy working and you just, I'll do it in the fall, and it just, look back and it's like 10 years already. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Oh, this thing is so dirty. It's just like, wow, embarrassing.
He was always a workaholic. Ever since he was a kid and growing up as a teenager, he worked as much as he could.
It gets quite dirty in here just from all the fabrication and cutting and grinding and welding and stuff like that. So the car got dirty and it just got used as a bench basically for a while, and it just... I used to never say no. I used to do everybody's work, because when I was working, I didn't have to think about me, my problems, me being transgendered. And I made a little good business out of it. It basically paid for all my racing. Something I thought that I would never be able to do again. With my transition and everything, I just figured that, people wouldn't really accept it, so that would be something that I would have to give up. And it was hard because I'd really enjoyed it. And so many of my friends race, that's where my core friends all came from.
When I first started, I started in sportsman class, street class. Then I moved up to pro class. And from pro class, I moved into super pro class, which is the class that Randy races in. And she's been racing that since I've known her. So it's taken me a while to catch up. It's definitely a measuring stick if you can beat her down the track. So Randy's got nothing better to do than work on other people's stuff. You can tell his car's complete.
It started out that it was just my car. And I built it because I didn't have any money to pay anybody to build it. So then I just started doing work for friends, and then all of a sudden it was like more than that. It's like, well, I know this guy that he wants some work done. And, so I started, not doing it for free. I started charging for it. And people were more than happy to pay because there wasn't a lot of people that would do the work.
Are they close to the same height?
Well, just this one is dished down and this one isn't.
Mm-hmm. And I can't even feel it. Can you? When you can you sometimes feel when the notches kind of get there? That's what the difference is. This one is concave down. This one is elevated. Plus it has this lip. And she just won't go in.
Well, the first time I went out in public, I was probably about 17 years old, because I was driving already. I can't remember what I used for an excuse or whatever, but I went out of town, and I was staying overnight in a hotel. So I got all ready, and it's like you peek out of the hotel room, and it's like, oh, is there anybody in the hallway? Is anybody going to see me? It's like you're just terrified. So there was a mall that was really just across the street from the hotel, and I went over to the mall and, went to the bank, to the ATM machine, and took out some money and walked around the mall a little bit, and it just felt great. But you're still terrified, absolutely terrified. You don't want to make any eye contact, so you probably send off a lot of alarms to people that you're like really shy and everything like that. I was only probably out in public for half an hour or an hour maybe, but it's just the start of it. I just couldn't get enough of it. It was just amazing how free I felt. It just made me so happy and alive. It was just like, this is just me. My relationship with my dad is, we've never really been really close. I thought the racing and stuff like that would bring us closer together, but it never did. And we had, I think in some ways we were really alike, and that's why we could never get close. And so he was a lot closer to my brother than he was to me.
His father was not as tolerant, it seemed, and so they were at odds a lot of the time. Not all of the time, of course, but a lot of the time, only because of the drinking problem that his father has. And then there came a time where he just didn't want to have anything to do with his dad because of the drinking. He also knew about these shoes that I had found, and he was really upset and told me to handle it.
As a parent, you always want your kids to have a better life than you had. So he always discouraged me from getting into mechanics because he wanted something better for me. So we always butted heads because that's where my passion was. Well, I met Wanda, some friends of mine and some friends of Wanda. They set us up on a blind date for New Year's.
That was my wife and I, yeah. We had actually a New Year's party, and then that's how they met. It was a friend of Teresa's, and a friend of Teresa's aunt's, and or Randy, right?
I remember when Randy came home, like the next day, I said, well, did you meet this girl? And he said, yes. And I said, well, what does she look like? And he didn't say too much. He said, oh, she's blonde. And I said, well, are you going to ask her out again? And he said, I don't know.
She was the same age as me. She was thin, blonde hair, long blonde hair, and it's like, I was attracted to her, and she was just a really nice person. Maybe it'll cure me. Maybe it's what I've always missing all my life. The reason I just need to get married and settle down with another girl. She wasn't phony or anything. She was just down to earth, nice girl, quiet like I was, because I was very quiet too, and she was quiet. And I just really had a connection to her. I told her after we got married that I had feelings that my gender was wrong. And she had basically asked me, well, do you want to be that other gender? But I told her, well, no, I'm not going to go full time. Because I totally convinced myself that, just being a girl part-time now and then would be enough. It'd be enough because I cared so much about her and I didn't want to lose her. So I thought, well, you know what, I can just handle this. I'll just be and she accepted me that, if I needed to be a girl on occasion, that was okay.
He just wasn't happy. Nothing would make him happy. He was just so down in the dumps all the time and just aggressive, like very verbally aggressive, very short with myself and my family and the people that lived around him. Lots of fighting was starting to take place, and he just wasn't himself.
Me dealing with myself being transgender and the internal battles I was having took a toll on our relationship too, because I was like dying inside, because I just wasn't happy with myself. I just couldn't be happy. As much as I had such great things, I had, beautiful wife, kids, a good job, everything, nice house, everything. Basically, I had it all. But it didn't matter. I was still personally miserable. Miserable that I couldn't be myself. But the feelings never go away. And they only got stronger.
And there we have a front end again. Yay!
Starting to look like a car again. So it's a fiberglass replica of the stock front end. I used to have the stock sheet metal and everything on it, but it would be about, I would say probably 8 years ago, I crashed the car, and not real bad, but I wrecked the front corner and a couple things on it, so that's when I put the fiberglass on it, because the regular sheet metal was all bent. Good thing it was just after the start. So I was going fast but not crazy. So it could have been really, really bad otherwise. So it was body damage, and so I had facial surgery done. I got my nose all completely reshaped and all reworked. I did have a breathing problem before, so it needed to be done anyways, because I had a really bad deviated septum, and it was really, really, my one whole nostril was totally collapsed. So I got my nose totally reshaped. I had the distance between my bottom of my nose and the top of my lip. I had that shortened. And then I had liposuction on my chin, body sculpting. So what they basically did is they gave me some taper in this area. And then they took that fat that they took out of there, and then they injected it right on the side of my hips. because I was really, I'm still really skinny in the hip area. Like, so I'm really, really thin in this area. So they gave me a little more shape. And then I had breast augmentation. Then I had my final surgery. And that's all the surgeries I've had. I told my mom first. You know, and I just was like, I went over to her place probably 5 times wanting to tell her, and then chickened out. And then one night I just did it. I just told her.
I said, I think I know what this is all about. And he said, no, he said, it's worse than what you think. And then he said that he was transgender. Well, I wasn't really sure just what transgender was at that point.
You know, she was just confused too, what it would mean to me. She wasn't, and then she thought in aspects, it's like, well, it must be my fault.
Then he started to tell me everything, you know, from when he was small, right up to the present time. And I couldn't react. I was numb. I just sat there.
She had a suspicion, you know, because, you know, over the years she had found some of my stuff and all that stuff, and she was just concerned. She was worried.
It was just like I was in a daze. So anyway, I managed to go to bed that night, and the next day I did nothing but cry and cry and cry all day long.
Well, it must be my fault. You know, you're my child. Did I do this to you somehow? You know, what did I not do as a mother that you're transgendered?
Thinking about all the things that could happen, and you know, why is he doing this, and not fully understanding that he didn't really have a choice. So anyway, that was that day. And then the day after that, I was angry. I was so mad. I just didn't even know which way to turn. I was just angry at everything and angry at him. And I don't think I've ever felt that angry about something, because I felt like he was just destroying everything, including himself. I was most concerned about, you know, like everything about him, his whole reputation, his work, just everything, because he had started his own business.
And I was terrified to tell my brother. You know, he's kind of cowboy, you know, redneck type of a person, and you know, I was just shocked. Like, I didn't know how he would take it. You know, if he'd be accepting.
I wish I could say I was utterly shocked, but I wasn't. He kind of started displaying signs probably about a year to a year and a half before things became more serious. He started trimming his eyebrows, and that was something that was I was taken back by it. He was a very, considered a real man's man. He was a welder, a drag racer, a mechanic, could build anything, could fix anything. And all of a sudden he has these pencil line eyebrows, and he went to Vegas, and all of a sudden he came home with 2 tattoos on his feet. He came home from another trip and he had both of his ears pierced. And I didn't know whether he was going hippie on us or what his story was, but it really started to draw some signs, and everybody started asking questions then. Not whether he was transgender or anything, but what is going on. It was just almost too much to take in and overwhelming at the start. To know that I've lived a life not only being with my brother for, the first 20 years of my life, side by side, living in the same household, then for the last 12 years, living next door to him and never knowing this about him, how he kept it from us. It's almost when you watch those movies or something when somebody has a total different life that they live and nobody knows about it. It was a movie. It played out like a movie in my mind.
I didn't know how he would take it, if he'd be accepting. And we were very close.
How's everybody going to react to this? How is everybody going to see him? How's everybody going to see us? And that became not a worry, but you kind of question it as, will you lose some of your friends? Will they find it way too weird to come out to the acreage where we both live now because they're afraid to see him? How do we tell our kids? How do we tell our friends' kids who know him? It became more of a personal, how is this going to affect me?
I still have moments where, like I said, I'm not ashamed of the situation at all. It's just how bad I feel that I couldn't help him in any way. And like I said, just all the things he had to go through on his own.
In his garage, he is a mechanic, and a lot of times he needs to hoist motors up in his garage and stuff like that. And he had this tether strap that was attached to the roof of his garage. And I remember seeing it there all the time. And one time I asked him, where'd that strap go? And he says, well, no, I cut it down. I don't need it anymore. So he put on a good show for a lot of people. But he told me a story of the one time when he was at the end where he just didn't know how he was going to live with this disorder anymore.
I still have trouble trying to understand the depth of despair that he was going through.
He was so down on his luck. He knew he hated his image. Every day he went to the mirror, he wanted to, cut his face off, cut his other stuff off. He hated his image so much. He was so down in the dumps, so depressed. He got to basically his breaking point.
It wasn't really a rope, it was some kind of a belt that you used to tie things down. It was hanging from the ceiling. And I often thought about, I don't like that hanging there. And as it was, that's what he tried to use.
He basically crawled up, hooked that strap around his neck, and stepped off a stool. And was hanging there, but wasn't completely gone yet when he looked out his garage windows and saw his best friend Bob pull up. And he did tell me that there was no way that he wanted one of his friends to find him. He wanted me to find him.
I feel better now walking in there and not seeing that. But I have to really watch myself, because sometimes I can get really depressed and teary-eyed, like I'm doing now.
Bob, I guess if there's a guardian angel, Bob must be it, because Bob pulled up and Randy was able to step back on the chair that he stepped off of and get it himself unhooked before Bob got there, and basically was saved. It wasn't his time, yeah.
When I think of everything that this child of mine had to go through to become the person that he wanted to be or had to be, yeah, it still is very emotional. But when I get to this point, I just I have to kind of shake myself loose and think about what has happened in the meantime and how happy he is. And yes, yeah.
I didn't know how to tell Bob. You know, he was my closest friend, but I had no idea how to tell him. I was terrified because I didn't want to lose that friendship.
I thought it was maybe something I did to Randy to hurt him, or I didn't really know.
So I figured, well, you know, if I pull back and we're not quite as close anymore, maybe it won't hurt so bad when we're not friends anymore. So it wasn't really the right thing to do, but it's just what made sense to me at the time.
One night, Randy gave me a call about 10 o'clock at night, and previous to that, it seemed our friendship distant for a couple months. For about 3 months, I could feel something wasn't right. So when you're in doubt and things are a little different, naturally you drift apart a little bit. And but when I received the call that night, at one point, you know, I'm going, oh boy, what's going to happen here? And the other point, I was relieved because, you know, I knew at least we'd be sitting down and talking about it. So, because Randy never phoned me at 10 o'clock at night and said we're going to talk. So I knew something was up. And
I sat Bob down and just told him my feelings. I just laid it out on the table, basically, and told him how I felt all my life. And, you know, because I thought for sure he wouldn't accept it.
I couldn't understand really why you would want to go through the pain that I knew was going to come with doing all this. You know, I knew, you know, people, this is a small town, people were going to look at Randy differently now. And the pain that was going to go through that, I was worried about his marriage, his children, just his life in general, I guess.
And he's been amazing. He basically said to me, he says, you know what? He says, you pulled away from me the last couple of years. We haven't been as close. He said, I thought it was something that I did. You know, I was like totally worried that I had done something to affect our friendship. And he said to me, he says, I don't care if you're a girl or a boy or what you are. He says, I just want my buddy back. The friends that I have are probably, you know, I would say 90% male, but it would be nice to just have more female friends and just do more, you know, just stuff that girls do. It's like when I'm in the shop and everything like that, or in that whole atmosphere, I'm still just Randy, the guy that now is a girl. You know, that type of thing. And when I'm in the salon or out with the girls, there is none of that. I'm just the girl. I'm just Randy the girl. That's it. I want to get more friends that are girls because that is so me, and I don't get to, you know, have that social interaction. You know, with my guy friends, you're not talking nails or talking this or just talking with girls. Just talk about different stuff. So, it's pretty cool. And that's the thing with, you know, transitioning when you know everybody and everybody knew your past, is you always get tied back to that person that you used to be, which is you can't get away from unless you would say move totally out of town or totally go and leave like everybody. You're always going to be known as that person. Got the gold and the leopard ones again.
Oh, nice. Other hand the same?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Is the car finished?
Yep.
Oh, because Ed asked.
Oh, what'd you say?
And I said that was, you know, that it's the plan. So then he just said, "Are you coming out?" And I said, "Yes." By the way, do you have any
No,
passes?
I'm going to get some tomorrow.
Because Dad, I think, wants to come out also.
Yeah.
You know, you should dress a little bit more, fancy if Robin is.
I was fancy today at the nail salon.
You were fancy there?
Yeah.
What were you wearing?
My nice jeans with the rips in them. My white sparkly top.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but now, I mean, like
Well, I'm loading and grub.
you're loading crap.
Yeah.
When Randy first told me about his condition or her condition, he wanted me to understand it. It was very important to him that people educate themselves about what he's going through, and to realize that this is something he was born with, and this was something that it's just not on a whim. And I'm glad he gave me that. What he did is he compiled a booklet of the disorder he was going through, as well as his life story.
I made like a 9-page little handout, and it encompassed things like all the medical jargon about why it's a diagnosed medical condition, what I have. It's gender identity disorder. And so I talked a little about the medical side of it. And then I talked a little bit about my whole life story, about me being transgendered. Then I talked about a section on why you should still be friends with the person that's transgendered, why you should not abandon them. And then there was a section on transition in the workplace, why you should keep somebody working for you that is transgendered.
And that booklet he's given to all of his close friends, all of his family, all of his business associates, so they could understand what he's going through. This wasn't him cross-dressing. This wasn't, oh, this is what I like to do on the weekends. This was a life change. And I'm glad he gave it to me, because at first when he told me, I thought, well, there's got to be a way we can fix this. There's got to be some kind of a pill you can take. There's got to be, I mean, this is just a crisis. Get over it. This is going to go away. And after reading what he gave to me, and I began educating myself about it, I soon realized this isn't going to go away. This isn't something he that he can control. And this is who he is and what he suffers from.
And of course, once he gave the handout to a couple of friends, it just, everybody knew about it then, or started to know about it. And then he got phone calls from racer friends and other friends that he hadn't contacted yet. And they were just completely supportive. It was unbelievable.
I had people that phoned me that were just random people. Phone me and said, you know what, you're so brave to do this, and I just want the best for you. And I was like, wow, like I was just amazed. It's like, you don't have to phone. Like, I don't really know you from any, like, I know who you are, but we've never been really close friends or whatever. And it's just like, it was amazing. It's like, wow, like people are actually concerned about me. And I had one gentleman phone me, and he says that, you're a good mechanic, you do good work. He says, somebody, you would be a good asset to anybody's business. And he says, you know what? He says, if you ever need a job that times get tough, and in your transition that you just can't make it, if you need a job, come see me. I'll give you a job anytime. And and just for me to get that, because one of the biggest fears I had about transitioning is financial. It's very expensive to transition. Like some surgeries are covered under healthcare, but very few are. So you have all those expenses. You have all of your therapy costs and all that stuff, it's very expensive. Plus you risk everything. You risk your family, your income, everything you risk. You know, if your relationship goes bad and you got to sell your house and buy another house, if you get fired from your job, you don't know what's going to happen. You risk everything. So your whole life is like in a blender. And to have somebody say to you, you know what? They'll give you a job. It's like that whole financial worry goes away. Hello.
How's the car running?
I don't know, we'll see. Should be okay.
Yeah?
So you got the motor down to nothing finally?
Yeah?
And yours?
I don't know, see, new motor.
Did you dyno it and stuff?
Yeah. Hey. I didn't CNC the heads or anything, but that's probably enough for that car anyway.
Yeah, this one makes about 840.
Is that right?
And then we decided we were moving.
I'll have to stop by your
Oh,
new
you'll
place.
get shop envy. You'll have big time shop envy.
Cool. Come here, show me your car. I want to see the new stripes and everything on it.
Oh, Zach, he's all ready to go.
You all ready? You ready to go? New jacket?
New stickers.
Pretty cool. Matches your helmet, the colors. You know, last year I wasn't going to race at all. So there's like membership fees, and we buy a spot every year, like where you park and everything. You buy like a pit spot. So you buy that and you have to be a member and all that stuff. Well, I wasn't going to race at all. So a group of members that are my friends, they all chipped in and they bought my membership for me and my pit spot. Because if you don't buy your membership and your pit spot, it'll go up for auction to somebody else. So I was just going to, because I didn't know if I'd ever race again. I didn't know if I'd have the acceptance. And it was amazing. Like, it made me, tears come to my eyes. Like, even now, it's like, because, you know, to get that support. Get that support from people, and just, you know, they could have easily just not said anything. But they really wanted me out there because, yeah, they cared about me. It was amazing. Totally amazing. And it just showed me that, you know what, people are, there's good in people. And I didn't have to lose all that. I didn't have to lose the friendships that I risked. You know, I still had those friendships. And to be able to keep those friendships made my life complete. So, you guys all ready? You didn't run last night or anything, did you?
No.
Did you drive around? Excited?
Just had them in there and fitted them new.
Oh, they canceled the day.
Don't even say that.
No, it'll be nice today. You'll get some runs. Tomorrow doesn't look so good though. But today, yeah.
Well, fired it up there this morning.
Good. Yeah. In here. This is my leisure time.
Yeah, I know.
It's
this
like
is my leisure
work
time,
and
too.
everything is stressful, and family life and everything. This is my relaxed time.
Yeah, I know. That's the same.
So-
here. I actually, when I get into the car, it's kind of.
It's like, yeah, you can just let
let's
go
down and have
and
some fucking fun.
process between me and my spouse has been, it's up and down. It's kind of like a roller coaster because and it's very emotionally hard. We both accepted that there was no way out of me transitioning, that was the thing that was going to happen. And even though that, you know, she wished that I wouldn't transition, she realized that I needed to do it, that there was no turning back. So we didn't know what was going to happen, you know, and we still don't in some aspects, but we just came to the conclusion that, you know what, we still both care about each other. We love each other, maybe in a different way now, but we like being around each other, and we have kids together. So we're still together. Things are different though. It's like we're more now great friends, best buddies, parents to our kids than husband and wife. And, you know, in ways that's very hard. But in other ways it's still great. You know, we still get to be with each other. We still get to raise the kids together. We still get to laugh and have good times together. But there's still parts that aren't good. You know, she could have easily said, this is over, we're done. But she's put some of her feelings, you know, on the back burners because she feels that overall, in the best interest of the kids and us, this is the best situation. So she's been amazing that way. I can't say enough about her. She's great. And I still love her. Still love her like the day we met, you know, and it was like, holy, this girl's pretty hot. And I'm still totally, like, for me, like, that's the only thing is, for me, nothing has changed. I'm still totally attracted to her. She's still the person that I'd love to grow old with. And I know that I've changed things, and it's my fault, like, that I've changed anything. Even though I couldn't go on anymore, and I needed to change, I still have that guilt. I still have that guilt that I'm the one that, you know, I have guilty feelings that I ruined her life in some ways, you know. I made her life more difficult. It just broke me, totally broke me, you know. It was like I gave her everything and then took it away. And it's a very hard thing to live with. And it just about kills you. But you have to pick yourself up again and make the best out of every day and find the good in the bad days, and you just move on. And try to find happiness. Try to be the best person you can. And yeah, you just try to make the best. And she's been amazing. You know, she's still by my side. You know, yes, our relationship has changed, but we're still there. And we still enjoy each other. No problem. Yeah. Most like my friends and my mom and my brother, they all knew first, and the kids were, not one of the first to be told. They were one of the last to be told, because they were young at that time. They were 5 and 4, so they were quite young, and I just sat them down and we did it as a family, and I just told them how I felt, that I had problems, that I felt different. And that's like, because I was very irritable, very grouchy, very mad all the time. And I just told them, this is the reason that I'm mad all the time. And I just said, well, to the kids, like I said to my little girl, how would you like it if somebody told you you have to be a little boy? And she says, I don't want to be a little boy. That'd make me sad. And then I said to my little boy, well, how about if somebody told you you have to be a little girl? He says, well, I don't want to be a little girl. That'd make me sad. I says, well, people tell me I have to be a boy when I'm a girl, and that makes me sad. And they says, well, we don't want you to be sad. I says, I know. So I need to be a girl so I don't have to be sad anymore. And you know what? That was all they needed to know. They were fine with it. They just wanted me to be happy. They understood it that way because it was very simple. They just didn't want me to be sad anymore. Kids make everything simple. They don't make it complicated. Adults make things complicated. Kids is just simple. They want two things. They just want to be loved, and they want you to be happy. That's how simple things are for kids. And they seen I was happy. And, you know, they seen that I still loved them. And now, years later, like a couple years later now, they still, like, I've never made a deal, like, they still call me Dad, because I am their dad. And even though I'm a girl and everything, and you know, occasionally they'll ask a question, or my little girl or something, or my boy will ask me a question. And like my little girl one time, you know, we were, you know, in the bathroom, and she was going to the bathroom and stuff again. So I'm, you know, talking with her and stuff again. She says, "Dad, do you pee like a girl or like a boy now?" You know, because she's curious, and kids are that way. It's like, you know, like the video, like kids say the darndest things. Well, that's totally what it is. And, you know, so you just, you know, I'm not like I just answer the questions. You know, I just said to her, "Well, no, I pee like a girl now." Okay. You know, that's how simple it was for her. She just had a question. You just give her an answer, and that's enough. It's not like you always think you have to elaborate, you have to do this. No, it just one little answer, and that was it.
This has happened before.
Once, actually, in all the years.
Yeah, right when you got on it, it showed up.
That's kind of pressure. It's kind of odd. It must have bumped it or something, maybe.
Must have.
When I pull yanking it out. Yeah, there's nobody here. Not a person.
Book with a different cover to me now, and no difference really.
Being so close with Randy, I got to watch the whole transition. Unlike a lot of other people who heard about it and then got to see the final product.
I think I tease Randy more now than I ever have, right? Because I think Randy is even more comfortable with herself now too, right? So it's one of those things.
I feel honored to be her friend, and yeah. And I'll tell you, I've never seen her happier, and that's a fact.
You know, you never know when a big change in life like that's happening, what could happen. You know, whether Randy would even stay in Medicine Hat or leave, or probably me. I don't have the courage he does. I would have probably left. But she's a very strong person, so.
I really hoped that he would be, one thing I was very concerned with is that his career would not be over, and that he would be able to continue with his business and have it grow, and people in the community to still support him and recognize his talent with the race cars and recognize his talent with his work and his skillmanship. I was really hoping that that would continue, and it has.
I'm very proud of Randy. I'm proud of my other son for accepting him the way he does. But most of all because Randy has had to go through this transition, and I'm very proud of the way he's done it. He's done it with a lot of dignity and concern for others. And he's just finally the ordinary girl he's always wanted to be.
Once you eliminate the fear and just be yourself, then, you know, things come together. It's the fear that you have to get over. The fear of everything. The fear of being abandoned, the fear of being different, the fear. Everything in our lives we do because of fear. It's just awesome not having to hide. It was the best thing ever. The feeling that I got not having to lie to people, to keep it all bottled up, was just like being reborn. You know, I'm not a superstar. I'm not, you know, whatever. I have the same problems, the same ambitions. I have the same everything as you do. I'm just an everyday girl, and I'm just a normal person.